Hello everyone, this is going to be a quick tutorial on engine start, run up, takeoff, climb, cruise, descent, and landing for the A2A simulation Spitfire MKIIb. Let's go ahead and get our aircraft started up. Turn on our magnetos first, turn on our fuel cocks to the open position, reload our cartridge starter. We're going to prime it about 4 shots. The engine is cold, but the oil is still pretty warm because the outside air temperature is about 30 Celsius, so 4 shots will be sufficient. Go ahead and lock our primer, turn on our generator switch, and for purposes we're just going to charge the air system and set the parking brakes. Usually the system would charge right when the engine starts. And we're going to go ahead and engage our starter. Check the oil pressure rises first. Make sure it's within limits. If not, you'd have to shut the engine down immediately. Just have a general look over at the gauges and make sure everything looks like it's coming up to acceptable limits. Fast forward now, we're going to do a run-up and just taxi it over to the active runway. To our run-up, we're going to have someone hold the tail down for us, 2 mechanics. Go ahead and run the engine up to about 2,000 RPM. Run around 2,000 RPM. We're going to cycle the prop, make sure we have fluctuation in the RPM drop. Rises back. Check our magnetos, the maximum allowable drop, make sure they're within limits. Those look good. And just keep an eye on our temperatures on the ground to make sure they're not rising too quickly. We want to make sure we try to get the aircraft into the air before our radiator temperatures hit 100. Go ahead and bring our idle back, move the mechanics from the tail, and I'll go ahead and taxi onto the active now and go for our departure. The runway here is easily over 8,000 feet, and we're starting basically close to the beginning, so we won't use much takeoff power to keep the strain off the engines. And, I like to indent the power to about 40% and then I run it up to about 3 pounds of boost. Make sure the propeller has time to catch up, that way we aren't redlining the engine. Airspeed's alive, everything's in the green. We'll go ahead and a little bit windy. Pick us right up off the runway. Positive rate, bring our gear up. And off we go. Roll our RPMs back to climb power immediately. 2600 RPM is normal climb, and about 2-3 pounds of boost. So here we are in our climb. We have the canopy closed and our headphones on, so you can hear now. See, our radiator temperatures are actually pretty high because it's so hot out. Getting close to the limit of about 120. You can see we're already passing 3,000 feet. Outside air temperatures are still 60 Fahrenheit. So we're just going to pitch the nose down a little bit and try to get some airspeed, more air through the radiator, cooler engine temperatures. Don't be afraid to keep your power setting side because this aircraft needs high speed to be able to cool the engine down. A lot of people make the mistake of rolling the power back and trying to cool the engine down. Alright, so we're at about 13,000 feet now. Got our oxygen on. You can see our coolant temperatures are pretty high. They're about 112, even though we've been climbing at a fairly high airspeed. We're going to go ahead and roll our power settings back and adjust our flight settings to our cruise configuration here. We're going to try to get our temperatures down. Now the Spitfire is a high altitude interceptor, so the aircraft needs the cold air or some high speed air coming in to keep the engines cool. On a day like today, it would be very hard to keep the engine temperatures down cruising at low altitude and being careless about the engine management. So we'll roll our power settings back here to a cruise configuration. use our radiator flaps over to normal flight configuration. That's going to make it so it reduces the drag, and even though it won't flow quite as well, you'll get extra speed, so it'll counteract and you'll get just as good as cooling capabilities from that. So as the video goes on, you'll see our temperatures dropping. Even at 13,000 feet here, the temperatures are still above freezing. Let's get a close-up shot of our main engine gauges here. Take even a little bit more power out. So as I continued to cruise, I decided that the outside air temperatures were still a little bit high and my coolant temperatures were still running a bit hot, so I decided to take us up to about 18,000 feet. I adjusted our oxygen supply and I retrimmed us for a new cruise setting. As you can see, I just finished the climb here, doing a little over 200 miles an hour, about 210 miles an hour. I'll show you another shot of the engine gauges here. You can see that the coolant is starting to get down more into a comfortable area. Our oil pressure is still okay, along with our fuel pressure. Just things to keep your eye on, especially when flying a Spitfire. It's very important. It's a completely different animal than the P-47. Alright, we've started our descent back to the airport, and I just want to point out a few things. Keep our power setting decently high, maybe more than a third throttle. Helps keep the plugs clear, and it makes it so the oncoming air does not drive the propeller in the engine. Also, keep our cockpit ventilation open. That way, as we decrease altitude, the temperature differences will not allow the canopy to fog up. Okay, we're on the right base of the runway here, so we'll go ahead and drop our landing gear. We're under 160 miles an hour, so we're all safe. Indicators are down and the tabs on the wings are up. We're going to keep a nice healthy approach speed here because we have a pretty stiff left to right crosswind. And keep our power settings nice and high so we can keep the plugs clear. We're going to go ahead and open our canopy. Propeller is full forward in the flying position. Go ahead and line us up with the runway. Drop our flaps. We're at 130 miles an hour within limits. The plane's going to want to nose down on you, so if you have a trim tab or on your joystick, you can go ahead and roll that up. Helps keep the airplane more centered on the approach. Try to keep a nice powered on approach with the Spitfire. Helps keep the motor clear. You don't want your engine cutting out right before, especially right here where we have water and pretty high cliff off the end of the runway. A little bit slow coming in here, but plenty of runway to deal with, so. And down we are. Try to apply the brakes evenly. Braking in the Spitfire can be difficult because the aircraft has a nose-over tendency if you don't keep back pressure on the joystick, and put our flaps up so we can get some more, or less lift. And because it's hot out, we're going to want to get this plane taxied in and shut down as quick as we can. Alright, so here we are taxiing into our parking space here. Put on our parking brakes, and as you can already see, that our coolant temperatures are on the rise. Get a little close up here at the gauges. So we're going to want to shut this aircraft down now. Come over and turn off the fuel cocks. Wait about 1 minute. Good to go to shut the aircraft down. So here we are 1 minute later. You can see the coolant temperatures are still rising, and our fuel pressure has dropped quite a bit. So we're going to go ahead and pull the slow running cutout. Wait till the engine comes to a complete stop. Turn off our generator switch and our mags. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it's helped you with some of the questions you may have had flying in hot weather and just the general procedures. Thanks for watching.